Hello, everybody, and welcome to a impromptu live stream. We are specifically going to show you how to convert a classic to a new Apex system live. I have Howard, which I'll be bringing him on here in a second to show you his system. He's got a classic or a light, an Apex light, and we're going to convert his entire system over to the 2017. So, a couple things. Not going to be a lot of Q&A this stream. This is going to be more of a tutorial. But if you have questions, you're more than welcome to answer them or ask them. Sorry. But we're going to try to limit the questions because we don't want to be up all night doing this. So let me bring Howard in. Howard, welcome. Should
Thank
be
you.
should be hearing Howard now. So this is his system right here. This is on an Apex Lite, and we're going to go through exactly how to do this. So the first thing that you need to do when you get ready to do this is you need to go into Fusion, which we've connected to his Fusion right here. And you're going to want to click on the Apex upper left corner here, and you're going to want to go to Summary. Okay. Now what the summary is going to show you is everything that you have connected currently to the Apex, every single device, every switch, every temperature probe, the name of everything, and also all of the programming for every single thing, for your alarm, for your pumps, and it tells you exactly what device it is. It tells you what outlet it is. So if we go down to an outlet, it tells me that this is outlet 7.1, which is address 7.1, which if we come back up here, we can see which one 7.1 is by the address. That is an EB8 from the address right here, 7. And that's how we know which outlet that is. And Howard, if you have any questions at all, by the way, while I'm doing this, just holler at me. If there's anything you want me to stop, just tell me to stop.
You got it.
So everything has an ID, and then everything has, as you can see, the programming. And what you want to do with this is you want to go up to print, which he's using Chrome, which is right here. You're going to want to print it and save it as a PDF onto the computer. This way, you can get a full copy of this before you do anything or screw up anything. So we're going to save that. We're going to put it on his desktop for now because that'll be the easiest place to find it. And we're going to say save. So this is the entire programming of his system, all in a big summary. It also tells you the profiles that he has set up. And if you keep going down, you can see all of the profiles that he has. Doesn't look like you're using many of the profiles to me. So that's good. Looks like you have 2 profiles. So that'll make it a lot faster. Looks like you have a ramp up here. You got a pulse, something called night here. Okay, so the couple things that you don't see on this, which are important, you have to go into your local or the Apex controller. And what we need to go to is Miscellaneous Setup. And the reason we need to go in here is we need to find out what he has his feed intervals set for. Okay, so you can see he's got currently feed A set to 10 minutes, feed B set to 15 minutes, C5, and D5. He's not using power monitoring, and his alarm sound is the Solvigs, and his warning sound is positive B. This information is not going to be on the summary. Okay, so my recommendation for you would be to like open a notepad or something and just write this down so that way we can remember when we get to the new one what you had this set to. So we'll say alarm sound is Solvig because Howard actually has a display, so his actually will make sound when there's an alarm. So we want to make sure we maintain the noises that he's used to hearing. We're going to change your data log to 1 minute when we do the new one. 10 minutes is a little long. With the new one, you could pretty much set it to anything because it's so much quicker. So we're going to do A is 10 minutes. We got B is 10 minutes. C is 15 minutes. Oh, I did not do that correct. 10, 15, and 5, and 5. Hello, everyone. By the way, I didn't say hi. I see everyone's typing. Like I said, if you do have a question, by all means, go ahead and ask one. But like I said, it's going to be more of a tutorial tonight. Um, so we need to write down all of the feed modes. We're just going to put that in a notepad and just kind of sit it over there for a while. Another thing that I like to check is the network. Now, when we put the new one in, he's using DHCP. So what that means is he's letting his network just give it an IP address. In some systems, like mine at my house, I have a static IP and I have all kinds of things that I need for the static IP. So you'd want to copy this as well if you wanted to continue using a static IP. If you're not familiar with what a static IP is, it's just an IP address of the Aqua controller that doesn't change. Obviously, we're going to have Fusion enabled. We're not going to need to do the email setup any longer because what's nice with the newer units is they have a built-in email server, which is great. So we won't need to copy this information down. Let's see if there's anything else that we should take a look at. So one thing that I had mentioned to Howard before we started is when you put a new Apex in, your dashboard is going to completely be reset. So there's two ways that you could do this. You can make a screenshot of this so you can remember what it used to look like. Or the other way you can do it is have both of them plugged in at the same time and then just connect to the old one and take a look at it before you plug in the new one. With what we're doing tonight, we're going to be disconnecting his old classic Apex completely. So the recommendation, and I had mentioned this to Howard earlier, is he's going to have to redo how this looks. And again, you could just take a screenshot of it. Sometimes people are happy with redoing it because they don't like how it looks in the first place. So we have everything we need to switch over. We have our summary. So let's just confirm that we have it. It should be on the desktop here, Apex Fusion. We'll open that guy up. And this should be everything that I was just talking about. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to know, when we plug everything back in, these addresses are going to be completely redone. These addresses are assigned based on what device you plug in at first. So when you first got this, Howard, you plugged in your display first, then you plugged in your wave pump, and then it looks like 4 got disconnected or something, and then 5 you put your FM. And this basically tells you the order in which sometimes you bought these devices or sometimes the order in which you plug them in. This is going to change, obviously, so we're going to pay no attention to the addresses. We're just going to pay attention to what the device is, and then we're going to go to the programming and redo the programming of it. All right. So, Howard, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So what I also want to do, by the way, before we continue, is I want to make a backup. So I'm going to go over to here, just in case something was to happen. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make a backup of your system. Okay. So that's right here in configuration, load and save, and it's downloaded it right now to your downloads folder. So we have a saved file just in case something happens and he needs to plug everything back in. He can just plug everything back in and we have a backup. All right. So we are going to get rid of these tabs. We're going to get rid of Fusion. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is you're first going to unplug your classic completely.
So I'm going to take the Aquabus cables, both Aquabus cables out.
Yep, both of them out. Now what's going to happen when you do that, by the way, is all of your devices are going to go back to their fallback mode. So anything that you've programmed that says fallback, it's going to go to fallbacking whatever that device is. So if you told it to stay on during fallback, it'll stay on.
Okay, those two are disconnected.
All right, now you want to unplug everything else. You want to unplug the Ethernet, you want to plug, because we're going to plug all that into the new one.
Okay. Ethernet is out. Take the temperature probe out.
Yep, take everything out.
pH probe. IO, whatever that is.
That's your,
And
those are your breakout box connections.
and my temperature probe. Okay, they are out.
All right. All right.
My
So
my Apex is unplugged completely
awesome. Okay,
for the
so
first time.
set that aside. And now what I'm going to have you do is plug, since we have the summary, we have what we need. My recommendation to everyone that's watching is that you're going to want to plug in one thing at a time. Now, with Howard's system and where all his wiring is, it's a little bit tricky to do that. So we're going to bypass what I just said, and we're going to plug everything back in. Since we have a summary, we should be fine. So what I want you to do is plug everything in, and let's see where we get.
You
More
want
than
me
likely, everything's going to shut off, by the way, once we plug in the new Apex.
so you want me to plug into the new EL?
Correct, because you don't have a power supply for it, so we need to plug that USB in so it has power. So we're going to have to plug your Aquabus in to get it all
I'm gonna
going.
I'm gonna plug in my USBs. That's one. Two USBs are plugged in.
Okay. So when you plug everything into the USB for the first time, the power is going to turn on certain devices and turn off certain devices. So you want to be careful when you're doing this to make sure that something that you do not want to turn off or turn on is unplugged. I will give you an example. Something you don't want to have plugged is maybe a heater right now. You don't want the heater to just come on. Um, so the recommendation is unplug any of the power to a device that you know for sure you do not want to have turn on right now. And Ron had a question. Yes, you would want to plug in each module one at a time. Like I said, in Howard's case, it's a little tricky with all his wiring, but generally you would want to plug in every module one at a time. Perfect. Okay, so you got everything ready to go. So let's find the apex.
The only thing, let me put the pH probe in.
Okay. That's another thing. Generally, you won't have to recalibrate the pH probe unless it's plugged directly into the base unit. So that one you're going to have to recalibrate. Um, if you have anything plugged into like a PM1 or a PM2, the calibration resides in the PM1 itself. So anything you plug back into the base will more than likely need to be recalibrated.
But not my calcium reactor, which is good.
Correct. Yeah, that will not. Okay, let's see if we can find it now. So does the Apex use USB cables now? The Apex always has used Apex or USB cables. I'm not sure what the question means, Christopher. Um, you have to use USB cables to connect it to the power bar or pretty much anything. Okay, so you have Ethernet, right? Directly plugged into the Apex, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what color is the front of it right now?
I have a green light, blinking. Green and orange.
Is it switching between the two?
No, the orange is solid on the right, and the green is blinking on the left.
Okay. All right. Let's give it a few more seconds here. We might have to use a different utility. I don't know if this utility you have works with the newer Apex. I think it only used to work with the older Apex, but I'm gonna give it a fair chance here. Okay, so for those that are out there, there's a program which I'm going to show you called Angry IP Scanner. Now, this is a very easy, simple program, and what it does is it scans your entire network and will give you the IP address of any device on the network. So it's very similar to what Howard's already using, which is the Apex search device. I don't believe this works with the newer Apex. So because of that reason, we're going to have to run a utility to find it. And my favorite utility is Angry IP Scanner, like I said. It's a free software, so we're just going to download it and run it. And this will give us the IP address of the Apex. And then, Howard, you can, of course, delete the software once you're done if you don't want to use it or anything.
No problem.
But for now, this is probably going to be our best bet. All right, so it's just a scanner. You're going to want to put your IP range, which we found out earlier was 0 dot is his IP range. And there you go. It's going to show us anything that's on the network. And it should show us the host name, which should be Apex if we have it on the network. So I'm not seeing Apex. So we're going to give, let's go back to here. We got something on 18. The old Apex was 17. So let's see. Let's try 18. Nope, not 18. There's also a new one on 22, so let's try 22. Oh, nope. Trying to remember if 12, 11, 10, a couple different ones we can try here. All right, interesting. Let me go over to my computer and let me see. It's possible that they changed something. Give me 1 second. We have an Apex EL. Okay. That should be Apex local. I'm wondering if the unit is not on the network for some reason. What was the status light right now?
The one on the left is blinking green. The one on the right is orange.
On the front of the unit, the entire unit where the Neptune logo is, it should be
That's
lit up.
orange.
That is orange?
Yes.
Okay. Let's find out what orange means. Should change from blue to orange several seconds after connecting the Ethernet cable. If it does not power cycle the unit by pressing that. Okay. Yeah, it's not seeing it on the network. So what I want you to do is unplug the power to it, plug it back in using the USB cables. Let's reset it because it's not showing up on the network for some reason.
You want me to take the USB cables out of it?
Yep, and then plug them back in after about 5 seconds. And then let me know what that light does. Christopher, the Aquabus and USB cables aren't really different. You can
Blinking blue.
say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Front of the unit is now blinking blue.
Perfect. Corwin, we can use his iPhone if we need to, but I'm showing everyone how to do it via the computer. I find the computer to be easier for me. But right now it's not even showing up on the network, so we got to get it on the network before we even continue.
It's blue flashing very quickly.
Yep, once it turns orange, I believe, is what we need. And then
It's
we'll try again.
red, green, orange.
All right, let's see if we got anything new here.
And the tank reset a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna do some funky things until we get a program in there. All right, let me go back to, let's try Apex Local again. Well, we got a 13 now. I don't think we had a 13 earlier, so let me try 13. Nope, that's not it either. I assume the Apex you got was brand new. It wasn't
Yes.
pre-used or anything. Okay,
New in the box.
just want to make sure. 22 and 18, I think we tried already. Hmm, you have stumped me. It should be coming up. Let's try. Let's get out of here. Everyone on the stream is anxiously waiting for us to find it. Should have had a Mac. Disable firewall. That's a good idea, Producer Reef, but the fact is it's not even pulling up on an IP scan. So let's go back to here and let's do wireless network analyzer. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look at my computer here. Wireless network watcher. That's what it's called. This one's a little more advanced than the IP one that we just used.
Does it matter if I'm on a 5G network versus?
It shouldn't. We were just connected to your old one earlier. But what I can do here is I can take a look at your IP, and your IP of your computer is 04. So we are on the same network. So let's try a different scanner. I'm not exactly sure why it's not showing up. There we go. Now this software is a little bit better than the Angry. I didn't think we'd need to do anything more advanced. But this one's called Wireless Network Watcher. And this gives us a little more information than Angry IP Scanner. And again, you can delete both of these software programs when we're done. This one's a little more advanced. It'll usually tell us who makes the device, which I find to be a little easier, especially when you're trying to find something specific. You can see that it actually shows you who makes it. So these are all Amazon devices, Microsoft, Netgear. I believe the Raspberry Pi is probably an Alcatronic.
Yeah, I have an.
Is my guess. Let me pull up my Apex and find out who the maker of the chip is, because I frankly don't know.
If you needed me to, I could run an Ethernet cable from the Apex all the way directly to my router. I think I've done that in the past.
We might have to if I
I have a
can't
link.
find it. But let me just check one more thing before you do that, and if that's the case, then that's what we're gonna do. Because everybody's anxiously waiting. All right, the maker of the Apex is CC D31E, and you don't have that anywhere here. So yeah, I'm gonna have you run a cable directly. Well, something just popped up. Expressive is that? I don't know what that is. But we tried 11 earlier, it didn't work. So yeah, go ahead and run a line
I have
directly.
about 50 cables, so or 100. So let me run it right now. Okay, here I go.
Okay. Let's go back to here and see if we can get Apex Local to show up. Hmm.
Yeah, I believe I'm hooked up directly to my router.
Okay. It looks like I lost communication with your computer for some reason. Well, Ron, I'm not sure. That's what we're trying to figure out. If something's going on with the cable.
Do you
Um,
want me to restart the Apex again, or it's still orange?
no, I'm not connected to your computer any longer. I don't know what happened to that. That connection's
Okay,
broken now.
okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I have the same. You, you need the ID?
I might need to redo that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, password.
6GZ34K. There you
Okay,
go.
we're back. All right, let me get this open here. We have something at 28 now, which is new. Hey, there we go. We got it. All right, guys. I apologize for such a long wait, but we got it. All right. So we know his IP address of his Apex is 0.28. Again, it can be you could be changed if you want it to be changed, but in this case, we're not going to change it. The default password is admin and then 1234. We're going to get into this Apex, and there's going to be a lot of fun stuff. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your summary that we made earlier. Actually, we probably want to go to here first. And on the Apex, the new one, all of the feed modes and so forth are under the wrench icon. So we're gonna hit the wrench, and it's right here. Now, before it used to go in minutes, now it's in seconds, of course, to make it more confusing for everybody. So it looks like the alarm sound is going to be the same, the warning is the same. We want to put the data log to 1 minute. And we have 10 minutes is your first feed mode, so 10 times 60 is 600, 600 seconds. And then we have, let's see, we have 15 times 60 is 900. And I believe 300 is 5 minutes. So these are all his timings for his feed modes, and we set up his data log, so that's completed. And you can see, I'm sure, Howard, when you hit save, how quick it does it, and how fast
Very
this is compared to what you had before.
much faster.
Oh yeah. Okay, so what we first need to do is assign the modules. That's what I would do if it was my system. So we're going to open up your Apex Fusion here, and we're going to set up the modules one at a time. Okay, so on this one, this is your modules button right here, and this should show everything that he has. Now before we had, well, I'm sorry, we have 12 devices now, and that's how much you should have had before, so let's check that. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I believe I counted. So we might be missing one. So we'll fix that in a second. All right, so display, let's rename it display so we know that's the display. See how quick everything is? It's Pretty amazing. Okay, so where is your EB8 in the house? Is it right in that cabinet there?
Yes.
So we'll just call that EB8. So I recommend everybody when they first do this to relabel everything. Now you said your EB4 is in your garage, but you only have one EB4, correct?
That is correct.
Now if you had two EB4s, I would say I would label one EB4 garage, EB4 tank or something. Okay, you have two doses. So this is going to be interesting. We have to figure out what dose is what, right? Because you got two of them.
Yep.
So this would be my recommendation for that. What are you using the dose for?
One of them is for um, phytoplankton
Okay.
and acropower. Those are the only. I have two doses, but only two are active that I've been using. Phyto and acropower,
Okay.
but they may be on one of. They may be on different doses.
Okay, so here's one of your doses, and here's the other dose. One is address 4, and one is address 9. You see that? So we're
Yes.
going to go to 4, and we're going to go up to here to dose 4, 1, and we're going to turn it on. You're going to tell me which dose that is, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, that is a. I see which one it is, but that is neither. That was for my two part when I first ran two part.
Okay, so we know 4 is the 2 part, and we know the other one is the other one. So we'll go back to modules, and we'll go to
Well,
dose 4.
that one side of the dose is two part, and the other side of that dose is my Easy Reef SPS phytoplankton.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's just call them left and right. How about that?
Yeah,
So which one was it? Was it the left dose or the right dose?
the one that you just turned on was the left.
Okay, so we're going to call it dose L. And then we're going to go to your other one, and we're going to call that one dose right. Now we'll know which one is which. Okay, next is your wave pump. Now you have, what, one wave pump, looks like?
One wave at the moment, yes.
So we'll just call
One of
that
my
wave. Okay, the next is the FMM, which has an older firmware. So the first thing we need to do is update the firmware. So let's do that first. Shouldn't take very long. See how easy things are with the with this? You just click update and you're done. There's nothing more to it. Especially when there's a firmware for the base unit. You just click on update firmware and it updates it for you. You don't have to go through all that silly software and all that other stuff you had to do before. Okay,
yeah,
how many FMMs do you have? Just one?
just one.
Okay, so we'll just call that FMM. And I recommend for anyone, like I said earlier, if he has multiples of different devices, you always want to label them, maybe FMM1 or FMM2 or FMM up and FMM down. So here's your one link. I saw you only have one of those. Not many people have multiples of those. So you know the firmware needs to be updated because you'll usually have a red line or it will say old instead of OK, and that there will be a check mark to tell you everything's OK. If it doesn't say OK, then you need to update it. So this is your ALD, which is your leak detector. So we'll just call that ALD. And you have, it looks like two PM1s from what I can tell.
What do the PM1s do again?
The PM1s do the pH and ORP.
Yes, I have one now. I bought an extra one for my Alcatronic.
Okay,
So one,
so this is how we're going to figure this out. We're going to
and one of
go,
them, this is for my, one of them is on my calcium reactor.
cool. All right, so this should be easy to figure out then. I would assume that pH X10 at 6.5 is probably your calcium reactor. That's my guess.
That is correct. Good guess.
Now you notice that the other one it needs to be calibrated, which is 8.6. That's very high. So it's going to need to be, and which I had mentioned, it's probably going to have to be calibrated. Um, that one is, well, actually, let me see. You said you have one for your calcium reactor, and what was the other one for?
The other one is hooked into my Alcatronic
Oh, so this is
just
your
to show you.
alkalinity. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, and all right, perfect. So we're gonna call the first one calcium reactor. So we'll go over here to PM1 and we'll call it PM1 CARX. That's how we know that that's the PM1 for your calcium reactor. And then we're going to go down to your LSM, which is your moon lunar simulator. We'll just call it LSM. And come on, baby. Did I get disconnected again?
No, you're there.
Oh, no, I lost you again, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, hold on. You know, because it just came up with it says it was a free session. They want to charge us now?
No. All right, let me go again. Okay, password again?
6GZ34K.
All right, we're back. Okay, so I got the LSM, and then your PM1, we're going to call this PM1 ALK. So we know that's the Alcatronic. Okay, now let's see if we're missing anything. I don't believe we are missing anything. Does everything I mentioned sound right? Anything we possibly could be missing?
LSM, FMM, ALD,
Yep, we got that.
and the one line. Uh, 2 doses,
Yep,
my EB4 in the garage,
yep.
and that looks like it is.
All right, perfect. All right, so now we're going to name your probes. That's the next thing I would do. So we're going to go into here and name your probes and your amps and so forth. So you don't use ORP, but you use pH, right? So we know that if we click on pH, it's going to tell us right here, pH probe on PM1 named PM CRX is the pH from that device. So we know this is your calcium reactor right here. You see that? So we can call this, what do you want to call your pH probe on your calcium reactor so you remember what it is?
Yeah, calcium reactor pH.
Perfect. Now, do you want to set up an alarm if it goes above or below a certain value?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go when outside range, and what do you want that range to be?
If it's below, I would say, what's my normal running at? 6.5. So I guess if below 6.0.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And then high, I would probably put 7.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. All right, so that pH probe is done. Now here's your base pH. This one, like I said, you might need to recalibrate. Actually, I'm pretty confident you will need to recalibrate that.
It's just a monitoring thing, so I can do that.
Yeah. Now
And
your
I
next,
have new pH probe in the kit.
yeah, that's true. So we're going to call this just ALK because this is your alkalinity. We're not even going to call it pH, right? And
Right.
I'm assuming you would like to have an alert for that. And what would you like that to be? Like 8 and 9? That would be my thinking. But what would you like it to be?
No, probably I run a little higher, so I would do 8 to 9.5.
Okay. Again, you can change this at any time.
Yep.
Just kind of demonstrating for everybody. Okay, so we got your pH probes done. These are all your switches. We're not going to worry about those right now. And then you have your temperature. And same thing here. We're just going to call this temp. And I usually just stick with the recommendation of 75 to 82. But again, you can change that to whatever you want. Okay, so now all of his probes are done. Okay, so we can kind of start to see what we don't need. We don't need this. We're not using that. There's your calcium pH. There's your alk. There's your pH. There's your temp. We're not going to mess with the amperage right now. And let's see. We got the wave down there. We got everything down there. All right, perfect.
And I'm already getting emails.
Oh yeah. We haven't, yeah. We shouldn't, we're not going to get some here in a few. You're going to have to recalibrate your temperature probe as well.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so now let's go to the meat. Okay, so you have a flow sensor, it looks like, on FMM, or that's flow on the wave, I'm sorry. So let's go to there. That's your flow of the wave. We probably don't need to touch that. That's right there. I don't have a wave, so I typically don't use that. All right, 535 is your FMM, and you're using FMM port 3, it shows, for ATO high. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. The wave though, going back to the wave, the one wave on there is not running at the moment.
We haven't turned it on yet.
Oh, okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
we haven't turned any. Oh, Corey had a good suggestion, the clock. Yeah, we'll get to the clock, Corey. We're not there yet. Okay, so we need to go to outlets now.
I
So
have
outlets.
there's an eye in there to tell me if the water's too high in my ATL container.
Yeah, we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so let me see if I can find it. Should be in the switches where we were.
Yes, it's
There they are. Switches. I totally just skipped over them. Okay. The FMM is address 6. So we're looking for anything with 6 on it. So we're going to go back to our switches and we're looking for 6. So this is your FMM right here. Switch 6, 1, 2, and 3. Now, according to your old program, you were using only one of the ports. Is that accurate?
on the
On the FMM?
FM. Uh, FMM. Actually, the FMM has no. The FMM has the wave plugged into it and my auto top off.
For sensors, though, just the first 4 sensors?
No, it probably just has the one sensor.
Okay, because that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing from your old program, sensor 3 is your ATO high, but sensor 1, 2, and 4 are not being used. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, so I just relabeled your new FMM ATO high on switch 3, which is what it was before. So now we're going to keep going down. We have their switches. You're not using any of these. Most people don't use these. There's your ALK pH. We already did that one. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. There's something called low H2O.
That is a switch that is near my return pump in
Okay.
case the water in my sump goes low.
And that appears to be plugged into the I/O box or the breakout box. Does that sound correct?
Yes, that does.
And is that the only thing you have on there? Because that's what I'm seeing.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we got that one set up. We got all of your switches. We got all of your probes labeled and ready to go. Any questions, Howard? What I've been
No.
doing? All I've been doing is copying and
Actually,
pasting.
I have no understanding of what you were doing, but I don't have any questions either.
So all I'm doing is I'm finding the same things that you used to have from the summary that's over here. So for
And
instance, you know, switch 13 through 6, you're not using. But if I go up here and I look, you were using ATO high because you labeled it here, and it was on your FMM 3. The way I was able to get this was the first number is the address. So if I go up to here, that's 5, which is your FMM. And then the
oh,
second number is the port, which is 3. You see? And you called it ATO high. So when I went over here, I did the same thing. I looked at your modules and I found that your FMM was address 6. So all I did was look for 6, 3 is all I did. And then when I found 6, 3, which is right here, I labeled it ATO high.
and it's showing that the switch is off at the moment.
Yeah, whatever it's showing. Well, we haven't got to any
Yeah,
programming yet, but yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yes, Ron, I am a programmer. But if you guys have any questions, like I said, I know I go pretty quick, but like I had told Howard, I don't want to do this for 3 hours tonight. So I'm trying to switch it over as quickly as I can with showing some information along the way. But that's how I was able to find the labels for everything. Like this is base pH. And then what we did earlier was we found out what the address was, and then we named everything through the modules, which are right in here. If we go to modules, and this tells us the address right here. See? That's how we know what everything is, which is what's going to be very important in the next configuration that we're about to do. So now we're going to do the actual programming. So that's in the outlets section. Now, you will notice that in the outlet section, there is a 2 and then a 1. That would mean that it is device or address 2, outlet 1, address 2, outlet 8. Now, anyone should be able to figure out that if there are 8 outlets here, that this is probably his EB8. This has 4 outlets, so this is probably your EB4. You see? Your dose has 2, your wave has 1, your link, this is your FMM. Remember FMM had an address of 6? And that's how we're able to figure all these out. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is your base alarm. So if we go into base alarm, we go to your programming, we're going to look for base alarm. So there's base alarm. Here's the programming for base alarm. All we're going to do is take it, copy it, go over to here, and you had called it, looks like you had called it before send alarm 16. So we're just gonna call this alarm. Okay, and then we're gonna go over to configuration and we're going to paste it. There we go. So all we did was take his old summary from his old system and pop the same programming into his base alarm. And that's done. Next one is your warning. So let's look at your warning. Looks like you didn't have anything for warning, just set off. So we'll just go to warning, we'll label it warning, set off. Done. Now his next one is his email. So here's his email. So we're going to call this email. And there's your programming for your email right here, right? There's a couple things we're definitely going to have to change in this one, I can tell already.
I haven't received an email from that unit in a long time.
Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button on my computer, sorry. Paste. I wish it would paste it a little bit better, but that's okay. Now you'll notice, if those out there are familiar, if something isn't correct when you're programming, um, it'll show it in red, or I'm sorry, it'll show it in black to indicate that something is not accurate. So you'll see how ATO high is not being shown correctly, error link is not being shown correctly, and then pH is also not showing correctly. And we're going to fix those right now. Okay, so temp, we labeled temp with an E. So once we put an E in there, now it's red. See that? Now ATO high, I had thought that I had typed it exactly the same, but apparently I didn't. ATO high, that should be accurate. Okay, looks like you have an error for link 5. So do you recall what you had this for, the error? Was that an
I don't.
error on a device of some sort?
I
Maybe an
don't
error
recall.
on your wave pump, maybe? Possibly?
It could have been. It could have been one of the. I had two wave pumps at one time.
Okay. So what we really want to put here is the wave pump. If error wave, and we're going to relabel that. And then you have a pH greater than 7. I'm assuming that is your calcium reactor, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what's nice about the new Apex is we can get rid of all this because we've set that up already. Remember earlier when we set it up? So we don't have to put those in there any longer because you're going to get an alert from the probe programming that we did earlier. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is redundant to put it back in here, is basically what I was getting at. All right, so that should be good. Let's see if we get an error. Yeah, I had a feeling we get an error. It doesn't like this ATO thing, so I'm just going to type it again. ATO high. There we go.
Very good.
What are you using? Looks like switch 1 and 2 for? Do you on your breakout box, or are you not using 1 and 2?
No. They may be. Those might be part of. I believe would those possibly be for my Neptune PIMA, the pump in my ATO with the high and low sensors? The
No,
elect-
because this is just to tell me. This is just to tell me if there's an alert. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is. It's not a
okay.
big deal. I'm just curious. That's all. Okay, so we got your alarm, your warning, and your email done. Now we need to do your EB8 outlets. So to get those, we need to go back to your old program and we need to find your EB8 outlets. So your EB8 outlets, it appears, are 7. Yep, 7. So before the address was 7, now the address is 2. So the first one we have is called Daylight, right? That's your first outlet.
Yes.
I don't know what it does, but I'm going to copy and paste it and call it Daylight, just like you did.
That's my. I have an 8 bulb ATI, and that's the full spectrum.
Perfect. So we're going to put it in advanced. We're going to delete all this. We're going to paste. Fall back. I wish when you pasted it would paste it with the, you know.
Got to talk to Terrence.
Okay, so this one we have to change to TEMP now. All right, so your first outlet is done. Daylight is back to normal. Next outlet. Is called Dawn Dusk. So we're going to change that to Dawn Dusk. And it is advanced. And delete all this. Maybe if I paste this plain text? No, that doesn't matter. All right, fallback set off. Okay, so now we've got your second outlet done. It's back to normal now. Put the program in Word document, someone said. We could try that. Okay, so your third outlet is called, oh boy, come on, mouse. It's called Skimmer Nios. So we're going to call this guy Skimmer Nios. And call it advanced. And just a point of fact, you are not using power management. So this if power right here isn't going to work right here.
Okay.
The reason it's not going to work is because you're not using power management. I don't know if you've seen my video on power management, but basically in order to use power management, you have to have a 24 volt power supply plugged into it.
Oh, okay.
And basically how it works is it detects power on the 24 volts. So when it loses power on the 24 volt, that's how it knows the power is off. So I'm going to keep all this the same. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just letting you know that this is not going to, it's not going to do anything.
There you go.
Okay. All right. What didn't it like? It didn't like something. Oh, that's why. There we go.
Oh, look at that. Quick.
Oh, it's really quick. All right. Next one is Swabby. Like I said, luckily you don't have a lot of stuff. Imagine how long this takes if we had 30 some odd modules that you had to convert.
Yes, I see.
Unfortunately, this is the only way to do it, guys. There's no other way to do this. And this is the easiest way to do it. And Howard, I hope you're following what I'm doing. All I'm doing is copying and pasting your programming. That's all I'm doing. I'm finding the outlet, which is outlet 4, renaming it, and then putting your program back in. That's all I'm doing. So 5 is your ATI fan. I don't know what that is, but that's what you have it called. Yeah, I'm sure people are riveted with what we're doing.
You know what? Every time, I guess you're looking and seeing to find 7.5. Well, luckily there's only 3 more.
Well, you got the EB4 too, and we
Yeah,
got
there's
to
only
set
one.
up, and we got to
I have
set up
one.
your dose, and we got to set up your calcium reactor still. We're almost there, guys.
The EB4 only has one plug on it
Oh,
that
well,
makes any difference.
that'll be happier. We got 12 people, I think, in here that have stuck around, so I appreciate everyone that stuck around. But unfortunately, this is how you do it. And we're trying to get it done in under an hour. It's about been an hour, so we're doing pretty good. We're almost done. Okay, so 6 is your heater, or it's called heater 2 is what you have it called. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to keep calling it what you have it. But,
Perfect.
but of course, you can change the names and do whatever you need to do after we're done. But I can assure you when we are done, everything will be back to exactly the same way. And that is the key to doing this. Someone's got to entertain me while I'm doing this. Anybody want to entertain me while I'm doing this? Because this is just tedious. It's simple for me, but
Imagine what it's looked to watch it.
that's what I'm saying. Someone tell me a joke. All right. Okay, so now we're on output 7. Output 7 you have called Reef Bright. So that's your programming for your Reef Bright right there.
What is in there already that you're deleting? Why is it?
So that's what I was kind of explaining earlier. So unfortunately, and I've spoke to Neptune about this, out of the box, these outlets are programmed already to do a bunch of stuff. That's why when you have a new Apex and you plug it all in, all this weird stuff starts happening. Unfortunately, when you first get these devices, they're pre-programmed for you. So it sucks because that's what I was saying earlier. The best way to do this is to plug them all one at a time. Because if you don't, then this type of stuff happens where just random programming is on there. But yeah, that's what that is.
Oh,
As I'm doing these, you'll start to see things actually start doing what they're supposed to. Okay, this one's an important one. Here's your calcium reactor. So this is going to be, I'm going to call this just calcium reactor instead of what you have because
okay.
it's a little more confusing because we labeled something already calcium reactor pH.
Right.
So we don't want to double up. We don't want to double up on names. So right here, this is black, so we have to change this to calcium reactor pH. I'm assuming this is your solenoid. And then calcium reactor pH. So now your calcium reactor should start doing what it's supposed to now.
Perfect.
Okay, so we've got all of his outlets done on his EB8. Okay, now we're to his next outlets, which are, let's see what we got. We got 4 outlets here.
Yeah, there's only one that matters, which is the 15 minutes from 8 to 8:15. The one that there you go.
Output 2
Time output 2. That's my automatic water change.
called Stenner 7.
Yeah, that's hooked up to a Stenner pump,
Okay,
which is hooked up to a 50-gallon saltwater reservoir, and it in 15 minutes it changes about 3 gallons a day.
cool. So as I did this pretty quickly, but what I did was I noticed that I skipped outlet 1 and I went to outlet 2 because it's on outlet 2. Is that correct? I just want to
That
confirm
is
that. So you'll see right here, I'm on outlet 2 now of the EB4, and I'm going to copy and paste that programming. So I skipped the other program or the other outlets on purpose. And again, as you add stuff, you can program whatever you want on those.
yeah.
There you go.
I used to have a fry tank outlet 2 on EB4.
Something it didn't like something. I keep doing this. I keep putting the thens in front. It doesn't like that.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, push the wrong button. Okay. So we're going to skip outlet 1 because we're not using it. We're going to skip outlet 3 and we're going to skip outlet 4. And that's what those
Perfect.
are right there. Okay, now we have our doses that we're going to program, okay? So dose 4.1, we're going to get rid, we're not going to even look at this right now. We're going to come over here, okay? So let me show people that again. Whenever you do a dose, you do not have to program via the wizard here. You can program it like any other program right here. Now there's a trick to this, because if we go to his dose, my assumption is he programmed it using the uh, graphical interface, okay? So that's what this T data means, okay? The T data is the graphical interfacing. Okay, so you have one called Calcwasser. Are you using that one?
No, I am not.
Okay, so we're going to skip that one. And then you have something called Fido right here.
The Fido one I am using.
Okay, so the Fido is on the left or right dose?
It is on the left dose
Okay. So
on the side.
so this is his left dose. It says it right here. Pump 2 on dose left, which is this one. Pump 2. And he has it called Fido. So we're going to call that Fido. And watch this. So we're going to take that whole programming that we just saw, including the T data. We're going to paste it. Okay? Just like we did here. Now watch this. We hit save, and it still hates me. What did I do? Oh, I deleted an F. Do this, and now if I go back to here, there it is. There is his programming for his dose.
There you go.
Okay, so again, that T data copies over from his old dose into the wizard automatically for us. 3 milliliters between 3 a.m. and 6:15. Sound right?
Yep,
All right,
absolutely.
perfect.
And the only other dose that's connected to anything right now is on the right dose.
Okay.
2 is my acro power.
All right, so we're going to go back to here. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to find the other dose. It's in here somewhere. We got to find it. That's the hard part. I'm assuming there's your wave pump, which we'll do in a second. Where's your dose? There we go, dose pump. Okay, dose pump. You said the second one, which is
Acro.
called dose 15 acro. So we're gonna change that name. We're just gonna call it acro power. Nice. What did one ocean say to the other? Everyone's having fun. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do this one right here. Same thing we just did. We're gonna paste the T data, is what it's called. We click OK, and this should be your acro power. Between 10:15 and what, 2 o'clock, 7 milliliters?
Yep,
That's not 2 o'clock. That's like 4 o'clock. That might be
that's
8
true.
o'clock. I can't do military time, but that's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we got his doses done. All right, now we're going to do his wave pump. So we're going to search for the wave pump, which is right here, 14.1 wave right here. Looks like you had 2 wave pumps. Do you only have one right now?
We have 2. One of them broke.
Oh, that's why it's not showing up anymore. Okay, so do you know which one's which? Did you have different programming for them, or were they identical?
I think that they were. It doesn't. That wouldn't matter much. They're all on. It's on random out throughout the day. I set it up through a wizard.
Yep. Okay, so we'll call that just wave pump for now. Do you plan on fixing the other one at some point?
Uh, no, I've replaced it with uh, 2 Nero 5s.
Okay.
So I'm keeping it as backup.
Okay. So we'll just call it wave. So that way you know what it is. I could even call it yeah, we'll just call it wave. Keep pushing the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Okay, so same thing. T data. This one has a lot of stuff, so we're going to make sure T data is in front of every line, and then watch as the magic happens, as your wave pump programming will be back to exactly how it was, and it should start going right now.
And it just started up.
There you go. That's your program that you had before. Same
Perfect.
thing, nothing different.
Oh,
Okay, so we got his wave pump, we got his dosers done. We have a couple other things we got to look at. So you have something for lunar, it looks like. So let's find that. Um, Really, the hardest part about this is just finding stuff from your old program. Once you get that down, it's pretty easy. Okay, so there's your lunar right here. If moon 00 on, pretty easy programming here. So we're gonna
yeah, I
just
think that's just a lunar cycle that they set with it.
yeah, we'll just call it lunar, and there's not much to this, so we're just gonna say if on. Okay, that's done. Okay, it looks like you have a couple 24 volts here. There's two of them, but it doesn't look like you were using them. Let's see if there's anything else that I see that we might be missing. We're on the home stretch, guys.
Yeah, it's almost complete.
Wave pumps we already did. Dose we did. We did your alarms. Okay, I think that's it in terms of outlets. Is there anything that I could be missing? Anything that we didn't discuss that I haven't programmed yet? Just want
I
to make
don't
sure I
think so.
didn't miss anything. You're not using that. You're not using that. You're not using your links, which are here. Um,
What are those links?
so that's my question to you. Are you using the 24 volts on your FMM for anything?
What? Yes, for my for the I am. I'm using it for the PMUP for the
Okay,
pump, the Apex
so
pump,
let me see if I can find it.
and there's a high and low sensor on the PMUP, and they're all plugged in there.
Okay, let me find it on your old program. Okay, FMM was address 5 in your old program. So we got to look at anything on address 5. There it is. Found it. Okay, so we're going to call this, what do you want to call it? ATO pump? Probably the easiest to
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Whoops. People are telling jokes in the chat.
Right. Why does a crab never share? Ah, funny. Keeping people amused.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't today. Okay, so this is something interesting to notice. So you'll see that SWX5 is blacked out. That's because it used to have an address of 5 for his FMM, but now the address is 6. So in order to fix this, all you do is put a 6 in there. There you go. Done. So now your ATO should start doing what's supposed to.
It
Um,
started.
let's see. Um, you got something on link. I'm curious what this is. on the one link. Are you using the 24 volt outputs of the one link? Doesn't appear to.
Moment, one link.
I don't believe you
I,
are.
yeah, there is one thing plugged, 24 volts. Let's see what
And what would that be? Because this shows that they're both off.
now I'm looking. Up, goes through my wall. That, what did I use? One link power.
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I have it powered. That's the power in there, and there is one. I have one thing plugged into it, into the one link. So, oh, you know what? That must be. Give me a moment. You know what? That's the wave.
No, that wouldn't be plugged into your 24 volts. That would be plugged into your one link. There should be two 24 volt plugs on that one link box. Yeah, I don't think you're using them because
I know I'm
I don't see anything programmed to them here.
here. There's no accessory. There's one thing plugged into the one link.
Okay.
Just the wave.
All right. Got that. We got that. Okay. So we got all your outlets done. We got all of your programming complete. Everything is back to the way it was. So, like I said, your dashboard, you're going to need to, remove stuff you're not using, move stuff to how you like it, but everything should be identical as it was before. Um, of course, you can label whatever you need to label, however you want to label it. Um, so the next thing you have to do is set up the clock. So we're going to set up the clock next. Keep this as a something in case for any reason we forgot something. Um,
Absolutely.
we're going to do your profiles also here in a second, but I want to go through the more basic stuff. So the next thing you got to do is set up your clock. Some people forget to do that, so let's do that.
Remember, I'm in Florida.
Yep. So daylight savings time. Do you have daylight savings time in Florida where you are? I assume you do.
We still do. Yeah, they tried to get rid of it, but we still have it.
Okay, so we're gonna do your time zone. So we go to America and we go to Florida.
Well, New
Um,
York's the same.
I guess that's true. Where you are, yeah. Some areas of Florida
And,
it's not.
and now you got Managua.
Okay, I got disconnected from you again, unfortunately.
Okay, hold on. Give me a sec. 6GZ34K.
6GZ, 6GZ 34K. All right, perfect. Yeah, Corey, that's what I was saying earlier. When you generally do this, you want to do it one at a time, but we lucked out. We didn't have to do anything. All right, go to New York already for me. Okay, so you're on New York, so same time zone. All right, so you're
Yep,
good to go. Your local time should be correct, I assume, hopefully.
yep, 10:24. Yep.
All right, so we're gonna update that. Oh, I lost you. I knew I would. Okay, let's set up your profiles. So your profiles are down here, and you didn't have many of them. I don't even know if you're using any of your profiles, to be honest with you.
You know what? There's no Vortex anymore. Those are old. Um,
You have something for your pump here, return feed. I don't know what any of this is. Let's take a look at your return pump. Or your return pump isn't on the Apex, right?
it is not.
Yeah, so you're not even going to use this anymore. Yeah, so I don't think you need these. because you're not using them anymore. And I didn't see them on any of the programming when we were doing it. I didn't see any of the
They're
profiles on the program.
probably old. I'll start with new profiles if I need them.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to skip profiles and we're going to go to network. Okay, so looks like you need a firmware update, so we're not going to do that today. You can do that on your own, but this is where you update your firmware. It's very easy. You just click this, and that's it. There's nothing more to it. When we link it up to Fusion, which we're going to do in a second, um, it'll also show you there's a firmware update there. This is your display, so we have to set up the display. This is something you have to do manually. So what did you used to have on your display, or what would you like to have on your display if you didn't before?
Just temperature, pH.
How about the calcium reactor pH? You want to see that on there?
That'd be great. It was basically just whatever was on there default since day one.
Yeah. And we'll put your alkalinity there. So right now you should see it. You're going to have a clock, which I don't think the clock is needed, so we're going to disable the clock. All right, take a look at your display now.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that.
People are asking about profiles. I think I did a video on profiles, but if I didn't do a video on profiles, all profiles are for is it gives you the ability to do ramping or any type of specific vortex uh, plugs, I'm sorry, vortex speeds, lighting intensities, and it lets you just, if something happens, go to a profile. It's kind of like a preset. So if something happens, go to a profile and do something. That's basically what profiles. You don't really use them that much anymore. I use them on my Radeons at my house. I have a picture profile, so if I hit my feed mode, it goes to the picture profile, which changes my spectrum on my lights to I don't know 10K or something. Pisces, I already set up his alarms at the beginning of the stream, the sounds, so we already did that. But that is something that you want to do. So you are pretty much all set. So the last thing you have to do is set up your token for Fusion. Okay? So we're going to go to Apex Fusion. Now, more than likely, you're going to not see your old one anymore. It's going to say, hey, where did you go? Okay? We're going to go in here. You push generate a link token. So we'll give this a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a while. I've seen this take 5 minutes at one point. Hopefully it doesn't take that long today. All right, so there's your link token. You're going to go to Fusion. You're going to click on this guy, and you're going to type in the token. So it's capital F, Y, MIL, capital L3. You say link. Show him how to change the sound it makes. Yeah, we went over that earlier in the stream, like I said, where the sound adjustments are. Show him how easy it is to create virtual outlets. Um, we could do that on a live stream, another live stream. Absolutely, Corey. Just we can talk about virtual. Right now, we're just basically taking his light and making it to the new Apex. It takes a while, and we just went through step by step. Okay, so there's your it's on Apex Fusion now, Howard. So what we want to do here is say bye bye. So you're gonna have to type in your Fusion password already there. There you go. So
There you
your
go.
old one is gone, and here is your new one, your Apex EL on Fusion. See that? Okay.
Look at that.
And again, you're going to have to rearrange all this, like I was saying earlier. Now, one thing you're going to want to do when you're on Fusion, this is very important, everybody, is turn on heartbeat. For those that don't know what heartbeat is, you click on that upper left-hand corner, you click on heartbeat. It is disabled out of the box. You need to enable it. So it looks like you can't enable heartbeat until it's been on Fusion for more than a day. So I'm going to rely on Howard to do this tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay? So remember to turn on heartbeat. Very important. Now, someone also mentioned changing the name. If you want to change the name, Howard, of your Apex to whatever you'd like it, that's in configuration of the network right here. So I'll go through that again. That's your network, which is a little Wi-Fi signal. And we can call this whatever you want. What would you want to call your tank?
My tank.
Okay, that's fine. Click on that, and now when you go to Fusion, it's going to say My Tank. Now, another thing, I showed you the firmware update, but you can also update you can update the Apex via Fusion, and that's right here. You click on that, and if there's a firmware update available, it'll say right here, firmware update available. Okay? It's not right now because there is none, according to this. All right, let's see. So we're going to put everything on auto. Everything should be doing exactly what it was doing before. Like I said, you might need to recalibrate your temperature probe. You're probably going to have to recalibrate your pH probe. I don't think you'll have to calibrate your calcium reactor probe or the alkalinity, but with the Alcatronic, that's really easy. I would just confirm that these numbers match. Um, calibration is pretty simple. Let's see. I think that's it. Anybody on the stream have any questions, or possibly Derek might have forgot something? Because sometimes I forget things. But that's basically how you do it. And it does take a while, unfortunately. And the good news is, if it ever breaks, if you ever have a problem with your Apex, you can always plug your Apex Classic back in, and it will have all the programming still on it. We don't want to do that, but if you ever had to, you still could. So, Pisces, I mentioned also in the beginning of the stream, Howard's going to go ahead and do that on his own. He's going to go ahead and configure his tabs on his own time. But yes, he'll move whatever he wants to wherever he wants. Corey, I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad everybody who's here stayed. I know it was kind of a snoozer, but unfortunately, this is what it takes to do it. And for people that are going to watch this after the fact, I think it's going to be a much better video to teach people how to do it and they can zoom through all the boring parts. But I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. Yeah, I think you're set, Howard. Is there any questions at all about anything?
No, believe me, I'll let you know. But I think it's great. I think we're all set.
Cool. You will love it. It'll be much faster and much better to work with than before. I'm sure you noticed how quickly I was able to do things.
And I have a new energy bar to hook up, so I can add
Yep.
8 more pluggy things.
Yep. So cool. Everybody that's on, we're gonna show you his tank because everybody wants to see your tank. Trust me. So let me
Let's see.
switch over. I'm gonna switch you over
Put
once
on.
I see you, and
Okay, hold on.
I'm gonna actually get off of the team viewer because we're all set.
Okay, hold on one sec. I need to turn on the lights. It's nighttime.
There you go, guys. He's going to show off his tank. Um,
Wait, it's on dusk on, daylight on.
hopefully it works, right? So look at that beauty. Full SPS tank, guys. It's pretty remarkable what you got going on there, Howard. I really like it. Beautiful tank.
Yeah, doing well.
Now we just gotta work on your wire management. That's
Yeah.
nice. Don't show anybody that.
Yeah, this is the good part.
Yeah. So remember, this is a note to everyone watching. Your wire management can look like crap, but look at how great the tank looks. No, I don't think Howard has a YouTube channel, right, Howard?
No, I do not.
Technology is not his thing, unfortunately. So, so just to kind of recap, while you're showing everyone the tank, um, all we did was we took his Apex Lite or Classic, we got the summary off of it, we saved the summary to his computer, and then we just copied and pasted each part of the programming one at a time. Um, Unfortunately, that's the only way to do it. It takes a long time, specifically if you have a lot of stuff. When I converted it, I remember it taking me 3 or 4 hours, and I was freaking out. And I have 30 plus modules and all kinds of stuff. Um, Howard, everyone's asking about you. How do you spell your last name again? I'm sorry.
Ehrlich.
So I just typed it in the stream for people. They were asking you if you're on Facebook, and yes, Howard is on Facebook.
On Reef to Reef. No, I'm on Reef to Reef, authentic.
Okay. And someone
My tank,
asked where you are in Florida, if you want to
uh,
say or not.
South Fort Lauderdale area. And I need to trim my tank.
Do you have any aggression or any problems in there with
You know
fighting
what?
or anything?
I'm like Terrence. I leave it. I just let everything grow where it grows, and it does what it does.
Yeah.
A lot of things are good.
Unfortunately, I had a Lobo sting one of my other Lobos just love to sting stuff. Man, I deal with that.
Yeah, I have some aggressive things, but
Send me some frags. Every time someone sees an SPS sting, send me some frags.
get me on Reef to Reef.
Yeah. So, well, do you feel confident, Howard? We got it.
Yeah,
Everything looks good.
you know what? The fact that you didn't have to pull every plug, and I know you said that that's the way it should be done, but
Correct.
it's a lot easier if you don't, I think.
Yeah, I think Corey in the stream mentioned it's easier that way. I completely agree with him. Because when you do that, Howard, then we don't have to search for the numbers. We plug something in. Oh, well, we just plugged in the FMM. We know that's the FMM. Um, but we were able to do it. You don't have a lot of, like, if you had 6 FMMs, imagine trying to figure out which FMM is what.
At that point, you're better off taking everything offline
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. See, you still grow coral with a classic. I don't know what he means by that. With
Having the
T5s, maybe?
no, having the Apex Light. In other words, you don't need a new
Oh,
Apex to grow coral.
well, no, of course not. You don't need an Apex period. Oh, we didn't set up your email.
Well, I guess I'll do that. So
Yeah.
not everybody has
So that's really easy. You just go into the notification tab on the upper right hand corner of the Fusion app, and then you enter your email address. That's all you got to do.
Okay, perfect. I haven't gotten an email in years from my tank, so that'll
No,
be nice.
now you might. So, someone asked you reef to reef. What did you say it was again? I'm sorry.
Authentic.
Authentic. I'm gonna just type it in so people know.
Yeah, I'm on there regularly.
Well, Howard, we got it done in an hour and 45 minutes roughly. That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, that was great.
Pretty good.
And I'm so glad that you were able to show everybody how to do it. I'm glad you did it for me. Thank you, thank you very much. But
Well,
I've had that Apex for a year and a half sitting on my shelf, afraid to make the switch.
Well,
So
I'm super happy to do it for you. And anybody that's watching this video, I'm more than happy to do it for you. You can see it does take some time. If you have a big system, we could be doing it all day. Hopefully, after watching this video, most of you out there, including Howard and people that have the technology or the, you know, less than uh, how do I put this? People that aren't very technically inclined will watch this video and they will say, you know what, I can do this on my own, and that's my hope. And again, I'm here if you guys need me to do it for you. It's not a big deal. Um, but yeah, we're gonna close up shop. I know it's late over there for you in Florida, and everyone that stuck around, I appreciate it. I know there were some boring parts, but I hope everyone has a good evening, and I will see you Saturday morning for something really special that I'm giving away. So I will see you all later. Thank you again.